to the Today Show. If you're just joining us now, I'm Tracy Schmidt, host of the Today Show, Unstoppable Tracy, with the extraordinary, massive difference maker, total mentor for me, lifelong, since the March of Dimes Day, when
Yes.
you used to be an ambassador for them, for March of
Yeah.
Dimes, before you were lieutenant governor. But now you've also go way back to being a superstar TV host on City TV. So I wonder, David, would you share a little bit about how you fell into that role way back when? It's kind of the
Sure.
prelude moment of truth to where you are today.
Well, it's very true. And I guess in a thumbnail sketch, I always wanted to be in broadcasting.
Oh,
The reality was that I'd done well in speaking competitions in elementary school. I think the first elementary school competition I was a part of was in grade 3 when I talked about my massive train set in my basement. So I talked about that. And then I entered speaking competitions through high school and won a couple of them. I was always interested in politics,
yes.
and so I was aware of the power of the voice and the power of speeches. But it wasn't really until I finished university, where I was elected student council president at the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. Back then, it was called Scarborough College, uh,
Right?
but it was part of the U of T campus, U of T complex, if you will. And so, having finished university, I did a year of law school. And I say a year of law school because it was 48 hours after I began attending classes that I realized this was not for me. You know, but I had tried so hard to get in
Mm,
that I thought I can't quit. I just have to tough it out, which in some instances, toughing it out is a good thing.
yeah.
But in other ways, it's not. I mean, if it's a career path, as my late father used to say, if you don't want to get up to and get going to work every morning, you got to change. It's just not for you.
Wow.
People
Oh,
often call it the golden handcuffs. And a late friend of mine who became a CA, he had golden handcuffs because he was very good at what he did. He made a lot of money at it, but
mhm.
he didn't like the job, didn't like it at all. And
Oh,
so he was trapped in it. And I refused to be trapped in it. And so um, when I came back from University of Windsor, who were very helpful to me. In fact, they wanted me to stay on for a second term,
I bet.
a year. I just felt I had to move on to something else. And so, long story short, I had always had a fascination with the space program.
Yes.
And I wrote a best selling book called Shuttle, just as the space shuttle program was starting.
Right?
And it was like the night before, 2 nights before the launch of the first space shuttle in 1981, April 1981, that I got a call from a producer at CTV saying, would I like to come on the air the next morning to be co host with Lloyd Robertson?
Ah,
Yes.
Lloyd Robertson.
So, yeah, absolutely. The ultimate anchor of our time. 40, yeah, back in
We all know his name,
I can't
right?
do the math on that one. I'm still kind of in a state of shock about it.
Don't talk about
So
it.
I did, and that began a process over the next several years. My book had been written. That's how I got they became
Name
aware
it.
of who I was and what I had done, and that began a process over the next 3 years where I made multiple appearances on CTV and both their morning show, Canada AM, and then special news events for the launch of the space shuttle until it became routine, to be perfectly
Yes.
frank.
They
Uh,
had to keep you every day.
yeah, exactly. And at that point, I'd met Ruth. I proposed. We got married. First son was on the way, and I had to get a somewhat stable job, to say the least.
Diapers are expensive.
Yes. So I applied for and got a job at CKO Radio. Now you have to be old to remember CKO Radio in Canada. It was the first attempt at having a nationwide radio network, and
Okay.
it just didn't work. You know,
Uh,
there are a whole variety of reasons. There are a lot of very good and talented people that work there, but
yeah.
it just didn't work for a variety of technical reasons. But somewhere along the way, in the first 14 months that I was there,
Yeah.
Moses Neimer saw me at an event where I was the host. It was at the Science Center, and it was, I think it was 1980, just the early part of 1984. So I'd been there less than 2 years at CKO, and I was the MC for the event, which was the presentation by two astronauts, a shuttle astronaut and a Canadian astronaut. And back
Woo!
in those days, that was a big deal.
Yes.
At the Science Center, the
Mm,
auditorium was completely filled, and it was because people were just fascinated by it.
yes.
Moses Neimer was in the audience, and what I didn't know, and again, this is early in 1984. This was like February, I believe, '84. He just came down, introduced himself, and I don't know, I don't remember my response, but I was fumble mouthed at that point, to be very honest, nervous meeting this guy because of his track record with City TV.
Yeah.
And so, what I didn't realize at that moment was that he had made up his mind to hire me, but they didn't have an opening. And
Oh,
I say this in multiple speeches I've said over the years, especially to young people, like, don't pack it in just because you don't get an immediate response. And I know for sure you've had the same experience. Just
oh,
keep
yep.
pressing on. And
Yep.
so I got the position at I had the position at CKO. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was a very, very difficult position, but I had no alternative as I was keeping body and soul together, supporting my young family,
Yeah.
until I got a phone call on a late Friday night in November of '84. And the private secretary to Moses, her name is Lindsay Gold, um, she called me at about 4:30, 4:45 on a Friday night. And her question was, she introduced herself and she said, Moses would like to see you. And I went, oh, okay, it'll be sometime next week. And I said, well, when would he like to see me? And she,
Yeah.
she said, as soon as you can leave. She said,
Oh,
he'd like to see you today. And I just,
oh,
well, who arranges a meeting cold call at 4:45 on a Friday afternoon? Well, the
the
answer is Moses Neimer.
yeah, the infamous Moses. When you're that big and famous, and he
Yeah,
knew it was a great opportunity for you too.
yes, exactly. And so um, I just thought, well, okay, I'll go over and meet him. So it was 4:45, and I just said to my boss, I said, you know what, I've just got an important call. I have to leave a little bit early. And he said, yeah, yeah, sure, go. And
Oh,
so I got over to City TV and waited briefly outside his office. And he didn't have a traditional door.
oh,
He had the beads hanging down, like from Mardi Gras in the States. And so
oh,
I
how
could hear
fun!
everything, that he was talking about. And at that point, I just thought, well, I wonder how long I'm going to be here. And all of a sudden, he kind of emerged through behind this curtain of 5.5 or 6 feet long beads,
Yes.
and he said, "Come on in." And so I came through the doorway and looked around his office, and it was very eclectic, if I can boil that down. And he just looked at me and he said, our weatherman has left us. And I just thought immediately I thought, um, I'm about to be offered the position of weatherman. And then he said, so what do you think about during the weather? And I just thought, oh man, sure,
Yeah.
I'll take it. And
Yes.
so that's how I got in the door.
Oh my gosh. And we know that he's this innovative, creative soul, and look at
Yeah.
his space reflects that. And
Yes.
and you didn't love the radio world, but putting you in broadcasting and toning those skills, they
Yes.
probably really set you up for success. And
Definitely.
being flexible for weatherman got to eventually move you into
Yeah.
a more relevant role and more
Exactly.
opportunity to advocate and be a voice in
Yeah.
like politic and political type of efforts in
Yep.
soft ways, right? You could focus on stories that make a difference, and you did. And then here you are, and Ann Romer now, years of working
Yes.
together, and then getting to be this incredible lieutenant governor. And we haven't even talked about that. And
We
I
will.
don't want to go to a break. So, listeners, please stay tuned. We
Okay.
need to, I'm going to ask David a highlight from his career, his 8 years, I believe, as lieutenant governor of Ontario.
Seven.
And
Seven, but that's okay.
7 years, leading up and
Yeah.
handing off. We got to include those two. And
Okay.
I'm cheekily stretching.
All right.
7 years. And it makes me think of the movie 7 Years of Tibet with Brad Pitt.
Yes.
And you were the Brad Pitt of the lieutenant governor of
Oh,
Ontario.
high honor, to say the least.
Yes, well, and you're all slim now in that handsome
Yeah.
shirt today.
I
Uh,
picked this
just
shirt, by the
adds to
way.
it all.
Not a commercial, but I picked this at the Bay 2 summers ago, and 'cause I just thought it was kind of flashy, and my
It is.
grandkids like it. So
I love it. And this spring day.
yes.
So, listeners, please stay tuned to the Today Show. We will be right back with the Honorable former Lieutenant Governor David C. Onley, and we're going to hear a highlight from his 7 years. And I'd love for him to also share what it is that he can advocate and be a stronger voice about now that he has former in his title, and what he would like to share with all of us listeners before the show is over. So please stay tuned right after these messages with Unstoppable Tracy and Lieutenant Governor David Onley. Be right back.